Hello. In this lesson, we're going to continue the graph of cosine. Last time we have done, we have done the first quadrant and a little bit more. And this time we're going to continue because my plan is to do the entire 2 pi. And so for input 0 degree, cosine 0 is let me put it down here, right? So this first point is 0, 1, meaning that cosine 0 is equals to 1. And input output, when input is 0, output is 1. Cosine pi over 6 is root 3 over 2. Okay, it's not for memorization. This is for notation. Okay. This is root 3 over 2. Okay, for many of you, this is getting more and more frequent, right? And the next point I didn't mark because I have some other plan for how do I do this lecture. So just to recap, cosine pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2. Right, we did that. This is multiple times already. And the next one is, we've done the first one, second one, and the third point, and the fourth one, which is a cosine pi over 3, sorry. Cosine pi over 3 is equals to 1/2. We primarily have done the first quadrant, and the last one we did last time. Of course, we did a bit more than that. Cosine pi over 2 is 0. Cosine pi 2 is 0. So what we talked about last time is that the arc length, right? The arc length is the input, or the radian is the input. You can also use degree, but on the graph, we use the arc length. The arc length is equal to the radian. So cosine pi over 2 is 0. So we've done these points and a few more, okay? And this time I'm going to use slightly different tools, okay? So before I do that, I like to still recap on the definition of function, domain and range, and the stage set for trig function. And needless to say, when we do graph, we need to understand that we are doing this on this stage. Okay, with angle measurement, reference angle, and definition. In this definition, of course, we're doing cosine. We're doing cosine. And the input is angle and the output is ratio. Okay, so far, we haven't found anything that will cause, 0 denominator. In fact, the way R is defined, right, it will never be 0. So we should anticipate the domain is all real numbers. The domain is all real numbers. But we really want to see, we want to understand the graph, right? So we're going to do some more points. So I'm going to have a change of tool to do this. I'm going to have a change of tool to do this, okay? So please allow me, okay? For this change of tool, I bring, I bring the decimals to our picture, and I'm going to transition everything here. Okay, wait, what's that? Oh, okay, never mind. So, and one of the other things that I anticipate we're going to need, okay, what we're gonna need, I'm gonna still need my favorite board, okay, because on this board I can, I can type a lot of things that I wish to show you, okay. Typically is how to write it down. So I'm gonna put this screen over here. You probably don't see it yet. I think you do because you see the very screen I see myself. Okay, so that should do it. Okay, and next, okay, next I'm going to leave the, of course, I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen with everything. Okay, so now we share the screen. So now you see what we did, right? what I just did, right? What I just did is I will be using the unit circle, and this is a place I'm going to write it down, right? And the mathematical expressions and stuff and commentaries. And over here, we're going to recap what we did last time, okay? And then we continue to do the curve from cosine curve from 0 to 2 pi, okay? And then we're going to do the other negative 2 pi, okay? So now with 0, we understand there's a dot, right? We know that a cosine 0 equals to 1. So we have a point 0, 1. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, we saw that point. We know this point corresponds to what? Corresponds to this red horizontal line. Okay, they should be comparable in length. Okay, they should be comparable in length. All right, so there. I think this is better. Okay. Now, this point. The next point we did yesterday. Let me see if I can draw the red on this system. Okay, so 0, 0 and 0, 1. Does that draw a line segment? It doesn't. It doesn't. So the software, they all have their pros and cons. Some do this and some doesn't do that. So this is fine. This is fine. So I know it's shortcoming. But anyway, so I'm going to, the next one is pi over 6, okay, for cosine. That's the 1 point we made. And the ratio corresponds to it. So the points I'm doing here, I'm going to write it down for you. Cosine 0 equals to 1, right? Cosine pi over 6 equals to √3 over 2. Okay, the next point is cosine pi over 4. So these are the things we did last time. And let's be, and you guys gather your notes, right? Gather your notebook and get ready to write things down. So cosine pi over 3 equals to half. Okay. So we're basically, so half for pi over 6, the ratio square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so that's the green point, okay? So all of these, right, for the red, right, for the red, for this point, it's going to be this line, okay? It's going to be this line, okay? Vertical. We're going to bring that line vertically. So this is for the 1, right? So this is the 1, and this is the, the length of √3 over 2. Okay, so we're going to line them up one by one. For pi over 4, right? So pi over 4, comma, √2 over 2. Okay, and that red bar is going to be over here. Okay. Okay, so this is just making up the work we left off, right? And next is pi over 3. This is just to recap what we left off. Okay, so pi over 3. Okay, the output is half. Okay, I put the label, but the label I want you to put on your paper are these points. Okay, are these points. Okay, not using the decimals, because on your quiz or exams, I will expect you to find these numbers. These numbers will show up on your quiz or exam, not the decimal numbers. Okay, pi over 6, yes. Okay, so for pi over 3, let's mark that point, which is a half, right? Right there. So you see they're color coordinated. They're color coordinated. And we will have another red bar over here for one is for root 2 over 2, right? That's root 2 over 2, and that's a half. Okay, you can see these red bars are in place, right? But these red bars are the output. So what are the input? The input, of course, is the arc length, right? Arc length for pi over 6. For pi over 6, the input would be the golden, you know, from the center position to right here, the gold, right? For pi over 4, and that's going to be from here all the way there. For pi over 3, it's from here all the way to pi over 3. For pi over 2, it's going to start from here all the way. So it's about angle measurement, arc length measurement. So for pi over 2, we know that a cosine pi over 2, right? What is a cosine pi over 2 equal to? Think about that. Okay, cosine pi over 2. What do you do to get it? What do you do to get it? Well, we go back to the basics, right? We measure from standard position counterclockwise pi over 2. And this point 0, 1 is on the terminal side of the angle other than the origin. So we pick this point 0, 1 on the terminal. And the red number is the cosine. So cosine pi over 2 is 0. Is 0. So suppose that we ended up there, okay? We ended up there last time. So today we're going to continue and do as much as we can, okay? At least we'll finish up the 2 pi, right? So now we get to 2 pi. The next point we're going to do the 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 6, and so on and so forth, okay? So now I'm going to clean up, okay? Clean up all of these arc length things. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Okay, that's the red. Oops, I don't want that color. I think that's not exactly red. That's orange. Okay, so the red color. Okay, so we have those bars. The next angle, 2 pi over 3. 2 pi over 3, how are we going to measure that angle? Well, of course, we're going to measure from the standard position, right? Counterclockwise, we landed at 2 pi over 3. You guys hear the narrative about angle measurement, reference angles, and so on and so forth, right? And the reference angle is right there. You know, 2 pi over 3 is 120 degrees, so that the reference angle is 60, right? So all those concepts comes with us. And so cosine 2 pi over 3, so I'm going to write it down, the mathematical expressions. How do we figure out, right? How do we figure out cosine 2 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, right? I want you to, when you do these kind of questions, I want you to reflect the entire ARD. I know where to find the answer. I can do it quicker, but I still want you, when you're watching this, to go through the process of measuring the angle counterclockwise, to think about the angle measurement, right? And you pick a point on the terminal sides of the angle other than the origin, and the cosine value is the x value on the point on the terminal divided by r, all right? That the r now is 1, so therefore in this case, it's going to be -½ Okay, the whole process is reflecting on ARD. Okay, ARD, right? So what would that be? So we can mark that point. So that point, 2 pi over 3 is the input, -½ is the output, right? That point, do you see that blue dot? That blue dot is exactly the same height, okay? The same height. Okay, so this is the blue dot, right? And so this value is the same as this piece, X, okay? We're not looking at the blue is for sine, okay? So this bar is the same as this horizontal bar, -½ And we keep doing this for 3 pi over 4, right? So we're gonna get 3 pi over 4. Okay, so 3 pi over 4, comma, square root, negative square root over 2, right? The green dot, we can label them. We can label them all. But when you label when you label the ratio, I want you to write down these numbers. Okay, so please write down the precise number. Okay, because this software doesn't mark by precise number. Okay, and next one. Okay, of course, is for, we measure the angle of 5 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, okay? So now 5 pi over 6, the terminal is measured. We found that terminal from the standard position, right? Right over there, measured 5 pi over 6, right? There's a red number, right? The coordinates is -√3 over 2. -√3 over 2. So once again, it's a process that repeats. And so I want you guys to take your time to consume these things by taking your time, okay? And this -√3 over 2 is going to be standing up. It's going to be standing up, okay, over here. So let's see it, okay? So we are marking 5 pi over 6, comma, -√3 over 2, SQ RT √3 over 2. Okay, so now we get these numbers. Let's look at the red bars. You can see we are very consistent, right? For -√2 over 2, which is the cosine value, the cosine pi over 4 value, right? So we're doing a couple of things at the same time. So how about you allow me to take time to mark these points? This is for input and 3 pi over 4. And this is for 5 pi over 6, right? For 5 pi over 6, we have not been drawing those arc lengths yet, right? So I'm going to draw the arc length of 5 pi over 6, right? So we're kind of, focus on some points. So this is the arc length 5 pi over 6, measured counterclockwise. That looks like a red color, but it's really orange. Okay, this piece of arc length is 5 pi over 6, right? So we're going to draw that 5 pi over 6 from 0, but just make it straight. Okay, so this arc length now is straightened up, and the ratio is a red number. So the red number is right here, right? And what are these? right? How do we write it down mathematically? How do we write them down mathematically? This is how we write it down mathematically, right? We wrote down for 2 pi over 3, that's negative half. And we're going to write it down cosine 3 pi over 4 input, output, negative root 2 over 2. Root 2 over 2. And cosine 5 pi over 3. 5 pi, I'm sorry, 5 pi over 6, not 5 pi over 3. 5 pi over 6, which is this guy, that's going to be negative root 3 over 2. Okay, see, input, output. And the points we marked are input, output, input, output, input, output, input, output. Consistent, completely consistent, right? So let me mark all of these points to show it to you, right? Pi 0, pi over 2, 0. And there's 1 point, pi over 3, right? We didn't mark that, did we? Pi over 3. Pi over 3, this one, did we mark that? Wait, oh, there, it's there. Okay, it's right there. So all of these points are marked, right? I want you to mark the precise value for the ratios. One more, and then we have a summary. Then we have a summary, okay? So now we have cosine pi. What is cosine pi? How would you get to cosine pi? How would you get to cosine pi? Cosine pi, for pi, we're going to measure from the standard position. We've done this so many times, right? We measure from the standard position counterclockwise and terminates over there, terminates here. So that's pi. And the point on the terminal is -1, 0. The x coordinate is -1. So cosine pi is equals to -1. What is the arc length? What is the arc length? The arc length is from here all the way. That's the arc length. Okay, the arc length straighten up. Okay, the arc length straighten up. We're just gonna measure all the way there. See? Okay, and I think after this many repetition, okay, this many repetition, and we now know cosine pi is -1. If you have done the whole thing, and there's really no question for you, you can answer every question, okay? Now, the red, what is the red, right? We're gonna put the red standing up, right? So the red is really the -1. This is a -1. This piece is -1, okay? So let me redraw that with the proper color. The red, okay, the red, this red, which is a cosine value, which matches the -1 here, is going to be there. Right there, okay? And at the top, okay, so we're gonna mark that point, pi -1, the point input, pi output a -1. You see, they're all patterned very nicely. Okay, so pi, comma, -1. Label there, label there. Okay, so all of these points, if you compare what we did with sine, you can see that there's actually difference, right? Sine 0 is 0, but cosine 0 is 1. So if you could imagine you connect these dots, and we can continue. Okay, we can continue. Okay, continue. Where do we go? We're gonna go up this way and that way. Okay, so for 7 pi over 6, what do we get for 7 pi over 6? 7 pi over 6 is right here. It's a root 3 over 2. So you're going to get another point here, there, right? I want you guys to take a moment to mark these points, reflecting on these process, right? Angle measurement, definition, okay, And of course, reference angle. So let's mark these points. So let's write them down mathematically. Let's mark them down mathematically. Now we're almost there. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, we have finished up to pi. We'll finish this entire interval. So let's do 7 pi over 6. Okay, so let's do 7 pi over 6. And this time I'm only going to draw the dot. Okay. So 7 pi over 6, right? Comma, negative square root of 3 over 2. And now you see that red dot, right? And marking that point over here, okay? We can label it, okay? And next is 5 pi over 4, okay? So 5 pi over 4, okay? 5 pi over 4, and the ratio is negative square root of 2 over 2. So we mark that point right there. You see the blue, right? And 4 pi over 3. Wait, 4 pi over 3. Too many layers, parentheses. Okay, so that should do it. Okay, so next point is 4 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3. I want you guys to look at these, and that's going to be negative 1/2. Okay, now we're coming to cosine 3 pi over 2. What should it be equal to? Cosine 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 for cosine, what would that be? The red number is 0, right? The red number is 0. All right, so cosine, 3 pi over 2, comma, 0, the red number, it's right there. Okay, what is 3 pi over 2 then? For 3 pi over 2, of course, if we measure that arc length, we measure the entire pi. In addition, we have another quarter of the circle. Okay, so we continue. Now we start to see the shape, right? So just one more quadrant. Do you see that in the quadrant cosine have positive ratios and these dots are above x-axis? In the second quadrant, cosine is what? It's negative. In the third quadrant, cosine is also negative. And now it's coming to cosine that is in the fourth quadrant, these terminals, right? 5 pi over 3, 7 pi over 4, 11 pi over 6, and 2 pi. Okay, so let's do the whole thing. Okay, let's do the whole thing. And now you don't have to memorize. You don't have to make any effort to memorize. You already know the sign already because they're consistent. Positive, right? You can see this is a positive in the first quadrant, right? Negative in the second quadrant, and negative in the third quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant, cosine, the red numbers are all positive. See that? So all of these really, it's not a fact scattered, at different places. They are really just together. They're together, and they're all stemmed. They're all originated from the definition. Okay. And you can write down these facts accordingly. So these are the ways you write them down. Right? For all of these examples. So next, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you can see how that special angle serves this purpose. So now we have 5 pi over 3. Okay, so that ratio is going to be root 3, it's going to be, 5 pi over 3. That ratio in red number is half. It's half. Over here, you see, half, I almost made a mistake, right? Half, the red number. So you see this number, right? 5 pi over 3 cosine 5 pi over 3 is half. Okay, so cosine 5 pi over 3, okay, is half. Is half. Okay, and next, right, we keep going. Okay, 7 pi over 4. 7 pi over 4. 7 pi over 4. What is the cosine 7 pi over 4? What is the cosine 7 pi over 4? Guys, right? Cosine 7 pi over 4. How would you approach it? How would you approach it? ARD. Okay, ARD is that process I want you to go through. Okay, even if you do it mentally, right? So I'm going to measure this angle, right, from standard position, right? Measure all the way counterclockwise until I reach the terminal right there. You see? And the arc length I passed, right? The arc length, what is the arc length? The arc length start from here. All the way, continue there. Whoops, that's too thin, right? Continue, 7 pi over 4. And that 7 pi over 4, look at this, is measured from the origin. Where's 7 pi over 4? Where's 7 pi over 4, right? Well, let's mark that point. Okay, I'll come back to mark 7 pi over 4, okay? So now it's gonna be square root of 2 over 2. There, right there. So the arc length is measured from here. So all that, this arc length, right, from standard position all the way here, that long is going to be measured from the origin all the way. This is 7 pi over 4. Okay, that's the input. So cosine 7 pi over 4 is that red number, right here. Hold on. It's a root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. So this value is equals to square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so 2 more, 11 pi over 6. 11 pi over 6. Okay, so 11 pi over 6. Okay, and we know that ratio is going to be positive half, right? That's positive half. So then, is that positive half? No, root 3 over 2, my bad. It's a root 3 over 2, it's this number, okay? Right, I think I'm a little tired. Maybe I should take a break, huh? All right, wait a second. So I'm going to erase this one. So this terminal measured all the way from standard position, all the way to 11 pi over 6. Okay, 11 pi over 6. We get to here. Okay, and the terminal is right here. That's the terminal. The red number is root 3 over 2. Okay. So I need to change this number, right? Because I put the wrong number there. Okay. So square root of 3. Okay. You see, when we are tired, we all make mistakes, don't we? There you go. I hope you caught my mistake. Okay, I hope you caught my mistake. That's 5 pi over, that's the cosine 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6. And that's going to give me root 3 over 2. Root 3 over 2. there. Okay, so let me scoot over just a little bit. There, we got it. So we got that point. Oh no, I didn't put those points there. Oh, never mind. Wait, 11 pi over 6. Oh gosh, I was making terrible mistakes. 11 pi over 6. There you go, that green dot. Okay, we label it. That's about right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, I think I'm going to do another lesson to do the other half. Okay, this is a little bit exhausting. All right, last one, 2 pi. What is a cosine 2 pi? What is a cosine 2 pi? What do you think? What do you think is a cosine 2 pi? Wait, where's my cosine 2 pi? What is a cosine 2 pi? How do you get it? How do you get that number? Cosine 2 pi. Did you see the terminal for cosine for 2 pi? Of course you do, right? It goes from the standard position all the way, you go one full cycle, that you cover the arc length of 2 pi. The arc length of 2 pi, okay? The arc length of 2 pi. So we continue. It's not thick enough, right? So it's the full circle. So the arc length is 2 pi. So how do we mark that 2 pi? We take that full circle and we measure from the origin all the way here. That's 2 pi. Okay. What is the output? Well, the red number on the terminal. What's the red number on the terminal? 1. Okay. So cosine 2 pi equals what? Equals to 1, right? So one last point this lesson, 2 pi, comma, 1. So we finished one full circle, So mark that point. Okay, so all of these points are marked, okay? And you know the red bars, right? So let's put the red bars in place. Okay, so we get a complete picture. Oh, the red, right? The red for 7 pi over 6, which is negative root 3 over root 3 over 2. The red bar for, so I need to do something like this. Yes. Okay, so this is better, right? So the red bar for 5 pi over 6 is negative root 2 over 2, right? This is negative root 3 over 2, and this is going to be negative root 2 over 2, right? This red I just drew is negative root 2 over 2, which is the same as this guy. And the last one on the third quadrant is negative half. So this is negative half. This is negative half. Okay, and there's this 3 pi over 2 that's going to be 0, so that's not a problem. 3 pi over 2 right here. Okay, so right here, this dot. Okay, and then 5 pi over 3, then that's the red, right? 5 pi over 3, we have a red over there, so that's then red standing up. 7 pi over 4. 7 pi over 4, that's root 2 over 2. It's a standing up, root 2 over 2 standing up. And for 11 pi over 6, right? And that piece is root 3 over 2 standing up. Okay, the last, which is 2 pi, is going to be right there. Did I miss anything? I hope my explanation is thorough. So finally, shall we connect all these dots on the top of each red bar? I want you to visually see that. Okay, visually see that. That's cosine x. Okay, cosine x. Cosine x, yes. All right, so this is a full cycle for cosine. Okay, and And we'll come back to do the other side, okay? But I think I need to take a break, and thank you for watching. And I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.